Hello and welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. A lot of people are excited about the upcoming WNBA season. Indiana Fever fans in particular. This organization went out, got some quality players, and people are like, I can't wait to see how they gel on the court. Can't wait to see what Stephanie White is able to do with their offense, with beefing up their defense, with the depth this team has. Just excitement. Hey, I've been watching basketball all my life, played some basketball, coached some basketball, have been dialed into basketball for my whole life. And as much as I like good-looking basketball, I got to tell you, I really appreciate people who have character, who have integrity. So when you start talking about the culture of a team, you have my attention. When you start talking about bringing in people who are quality people who also play quality basketball, you have my attention. One of the complaints many of us had about and have about some players in the WNBA is the manner in which they present themselves and therefore present the league, whether it's at a post-game press conference, whether it's on a video they put out there on social media, whether it's on Twitter, just the way some of these players have presented themselves, which surprised me. Like, if you've been a part of the Adrienne Ross Show, in the early days, I was a big WNBA fan. I went away, came back with Caitlin Clark, and I wondered what in the world happened. And that's why we said these players need media training. But even more than media training, give them media training, but also you just want people who, whether or not they're in front of the camera because the media is doing an interview or whatever, you want people who just represent themselves well. Some people, they got it. Other people, they don't. And some don't seem to want to either. Again, that's not everyone. But presenting yourself well should be everyone's desire because it really is that important. Hence, a really, really important message that everybody needs to catch. I know a lot of people have made excuses, and you don't like this player because of that reason, and you don't like this player because this, and you like that player because of that. All these external things, I'm not even going to get into all those. You know what's up. But it's in the presentation. How are you presenting yourself? How are you presenting your team? How are you presenting your teammates? And this is what excites me about the Indiana Fever. Because the Indiana Fever has that part down, at least from what we've seen. Some people have some concerns about some people or person, and there is that. But as a teacher, my background isn't giving out grades. I've got to give the Indiana Fever an A for the way the team presents itself. Think about it. Think about how this team is able to speak to the media, how respectful this team is, how the team never looks like, is this over yet? Are we done? And they just upgraded Sophie Cunningham. I don't know if you saw the interview she did after arriving in Indiana. Check it out. I'll put the link in the description of this video. But let's start with Caitlin. That's something people talk about all the time. She expresses herself well. She expresses the game well. She told us in some interview she did that she tries to put herself in the shoes. I think it was the Time Magazine interview. She tries to put herself in the shoes of those who are the reporters who are asking questions, who are listening, how to break things down so that they understand. And she articulates herself well and is always very giving praise to other people. She just is a good example of someone you want to call a teammate, someone you want to call your employee. Kelsey Mitchell, another one, very good in front of the camera. Now, sometimes they come to the post game, and now they didn't do this back in the day, but now they bring the sheet of stats with them. So very often they're looking down at the stats and that kind of thing. I don't really care for that. But when she's speaking, she's able to articulate exactly what she's thinking, exactly what went on. She doesn't act like she's doing you a favor, even though it's got to be a sacrifice to do this all the time. Aaliyah Boston, same thing. You can't help but love Aaliyah Boston. Her personality, even when you yell at her, as some people do on the court, be more aggressive, be more assertive. You can't say she's not a good representative for her team. And we could go on. We could continue. We could go on with this team and those we've heard come to the table, or however they're carrying themselves, wherever they are. It's an A, y'all. And like I said, now they've added Sophie Cunningham, and she is extremely smooth, extremely likable, and represents the organization well. This is something that every team should aspire to. Like I said in the video months ago about 5 things I would do immediately if I were Kathy Engelbert, I would give media training, but also just watching how people carry themselves. So when I think about presentation, some, not all, some teams or some players, it's sort of like they show up on the top of a garbage can lid. So what do you expect other people to think? How do you expect other people to respond? And it's not just Nafisa Collier or someone, she carries herself extremely well. She jumps right out. Sabrina Ionescu, she carries herself very, very well. So there are players who do. And then there are teams like the Indiana Fever as a whole. A. And they continue to upgrade. What I heard from Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, the way they express themselves, the way they show appreciation for their team, for the front office, for the coaching staff, for the fans, in a league where they want to make the Indiana Fever fans seem like they're on the garbage can lid. These players, you don't have to worry what they're going to do when they get out there, what they're going to say when they get out there, how they're going to represent. All this stuff really does matter. I just showed you that video. It matters. So if you wonder, like, why not? Why don't people like so-and-so player? You can fill in the blank. I'm not even going to, you just fill in the blank. How come they don't like them? Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of that. Because of the presentation. So for a league that wants to grow, that wants to appeal to people, that wants parents to have their children come and watch, you need more players like your Caitlin Clark, like your Leah Boston, your Kelsey Mitchell, your Sophie Cunningham, your DeWanna Bonner. Let's keep going. Your coaches like Stephanie White as she speaks, like Amber Cox and Kelly Crosskoff. There's something different about this organization. I think it should be set up as an example of what other people want to aspire to be, to represent their team, their teammates, their league. A from the teacher. What do you think? What grade would you give the Indiana Fever? What are your thoughts? Get in the comments, respectfully, of course, because...
You see, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
I'll catch you next time, God willing. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. God bless you abundantly.